Thank you, Representative Garamendi, for leading us in this discussion for an hour of focus on solutions that are possible out there, within our grasp, easily within our grasp. And as you and the gentleman from Nevada, Representative Horsford, have highlighted with very, very strong context placed in terms of the human impact here, and the great compassion with which you spoke, I couldn't help but think that we're challenged in this given moment by a very daunting series of questions, coupled, notably, do we reject our history or do we respect our history? Our history, replete with success stories, perhaps in some of our darkest, deepest, painful hours, should inspire and direct and challenge us, guide us in a way that enables us to embrace the progressive voices of the past and use that in instructive measure to move forward with the socially correct thing to be done so as to respond to those needs of the many, the bulk of the middle income community that beckons us to be there, and to be there in sensitive measure. Do we respect that history? Representative Garamendi shared the words of President Franklin Roosevelt. Are we willing to add to those who have plenty? We were challenged by President Johnson in his message addressing the war on poverty. Today, as all of these statistics were exchanged by my two colleagues, I couldn't help but recall the fact that we are reaching some of the greatest measures of productivity in our business community, in our industrial settings today. Where is the sharing of success? Where is the sharing with the middle income community, the workers who have produced that sort of productivity? So let me understand this. The growth of the top 1%, the top income strata of our society, has been exponentially strong, all while we've seen a diminishing of the growth, the potential growth of our middle income community, or a flat line, all while we've been most productive in our industrial and business settings. Where is the economic justice? Where is the sharing that allows for us to enhance that purchasing power of the middle income community? That's the economic engine of this nation. And so as we are faced with these given statistics, as we are challenged with these economic times in the post-recession recovery, the moral compass should guide us, if not our history, replete with success stories. Do we respect our history or do we reject our history? I would suggest those progressive voices of the past that led us through our darkest hours envisioned an outcome that strengthened everyone in the equation, not playing toward favorites, because, in my opinion, catering to a small percentage of the population is a dangerous outcome for them. In order to succeed, in order to continue to grow and survive, you need to have that strong purchasing power. We know from statistics, we know from past history that we should be guided by those economic reforms that enable for social and economic justice to take hold. I look at the impact in New York State. 127,000 people affected in the 20th, when I look at the 20th Congressional District. In all of the stats, the numbers swell from 127,000 to another series of 133,000 that will be affected. And as has been earlier tonight, some economic consequences of $400 million and 200,000 jobs lost. Are we willing to endure that simply by our lack of professionalism here. The willingness to walk past those who are, through no fault of their own, unemployed. And you know, while 3 people pursue the one available job, 3 people pursue for every one available job, that statistic also is accompanied by the requirement that you must actively pursue employment. It's part of the program. You know, I was visited today, Representative Garamendi, by Vice President Biden in the 20th Congressional District. He and our governor, Governor Andrew Cuomo, and our state leadership, Shelley Silver, our Speaker of the Assembly, with whom I had the pleasure of serving, who has been a great leader for New York, as has the governor, and the Senate Majority Leader, Dean Scalos, all of whom have shown an interest in infrastructure, all gathered today in New York, in the 20th Congressional District, specifically at Albany, our state capital. And it was about Superstorm Sandy and the impacts of storms Irene and Lee, that in 2011, for Irene and Lee, and in 2013 with Superstorm Sandy, devastated various regions of New York State. And yes, we need to rebuild, but you need to do that intelligently. You need to do it with an order of academics, and certainly with a strategic planning that accompanies all of that effort. That's effective, efficient, smart government. The President spoke to the wisdom of investing in infrastructure because commerce requires it. Across this great nation, talk to the Midland of America. Without the appropriated infrastructure, they can't send forth their agricultural produce products or their manufactured goods. They cannot ship forward, and so commerce is crippled by our lack of investment in infrastructure. And so with great sensitivity, the Vice President spoke to the infrastructure needs of New York, and that we will utilize these efforts with the guidance of New York State, with the governor and the legislature, to make certain that it's not merely replacing infrastructure damaged by the ravaging of Mother Nature, but rather restructuring and reorganizing how we respond to that. Much of our energy infrastructure, our water sewer treatment infrastructure, our manufacturing infrastructure are along water's edge, either intercoastal systems or the coastal system itself. We extended our land into the coastal system, and now Mother Nature is saying, whoa, push back. But that urgency that came with those storms has us now struggling with infrastructure investment. Is that what we require in order to invest in infrastructure? So we need to go forward and make certain that these down payments on the future strength of this nation are made, and made sensibly, and made in an order of investment, not spending, but investing, where reasonable expectation, justified expectation of a return on those hard-earned tax dollars is there. And we will see that with the infrastructure improvements. So much can be done. I'll close with this, not close with this, but
take a break.
Take a break, as they say. I will yield back to the gentleman from California just in making this statement. You can't have it both ways. You can't deny all these legislative bills that are advanced to the Congress or initiated by members of the House that would speak to job growth. The President has sent forward, on behalf of the administration, a number of bills that would grow our economy, grow the climate to enhance job growth. You can't reject that agenda and then not reauthorize the unemployment insurance benefit package. If you're going to do that, if you're not going to reauthorize, then you need to do the jobs packages that have been sent here. But to do both, to reject the job packages, the legislation that would grow that climate, and also reject the reauthorization of unemployment insurance, reject minimum wage, reject the SNAP programs, that's harsh. That is not being guided by a moral compass. And that is not America at her best.